Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dominic D'Souza. I am the Head of Partnerships for the Access Group. And thank you for taking the time to join us over this lunchtime to see our newest partner, Force24. We've chosen Force24 to partner with for marketing automation based on the fact that they have the most wonderful interface that you are going to see today. We're joined this afternoon by Adam Oldfield from Force24. You should be able to see him on screen there. He is going to take you through some of the functionality and some of the reasons that you hopefully will see why we've chosen to partner with Force24. So without further ado, and not to waste anyone's time, I shall hand you across to Adam. If anyone has any questions, please pose them as we go, and we'll ask them all at the end. And Adam, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dom. Yes, thanks for the introduction. So my name is Adam Oldfield, and as you can see, oops, sorry, of course I get the text message just at the wrong moment. As you can see, I am in the garden shed, which is in Harrogate, strangely enough. And I'm going to be talking to you today about the work that we've been doing with the guys at Access to connect up the CRM behind the scenes to make the job much easier, and all about you guys connecting with clients and candidates and doing the best work that you possibly can do. So before we do launch into the spiel, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a little bit quickly about Force24. So I'll skip that along. Okay, so first of all, Force24 is a UK-based marketing automation platform. I'll go into what an automation platform is in a moment because the term's a little bit mucky with certain ESPs online. What we essentially do is we allow you to build powerful automated sequences based on both users' behavior online and the data held in CRM. So if you imagine that, that's a really wonderful combination of the information that the consultants are collecting on candidates and clients, married with the online browsing activity and engagement of our marketing effort. So that enables us to build sequences based around email, SMS, and consultant engagement, driving consultant engagement, unlocking the power of the data held within your CRM. So the term marketing automation, as I already mentioned, is quite a muddy term. It's not just about sending loads more email. It's about building really, really strong, robust relationships with clients and candidates. And part of that is tracking. And part of that is understanding who's in market and who's out of market. So the conversations consultants have with candidates may well be an accurate reflection of their sentiment right now, but the marketing team are then able to connect on a larger scale and see the actions of specific individuals and what they're looking for, which might then denote an in-market position for a particular candidate that a couple of weeks ago told you they weren't looking. So there's lots and lots of really powerful things and insights that come from using automation. So let's get cracking. Now, firstly, this is pretty much the last of the boring slides. This is just quickly to say, look, why did Access partner with us? So we are a UK-based platform. Now, some of you may well know about the issues with GDPR and data sovereignty and the Privacy Shield demise last year, or the year before actually now. We keep the data within the UK. We support about 5,000 UK marketeers right now from a variety of different sectors. One of the things that we do is we offer you free training and support for life on a 2-minute SLA. The industry is mostly upset about, customers are mostly upset about the industry due to poor support. And this is one of the things that we as a business have decided to go above and beyond and make sure that our entire business is geared up towards deploying human capital to support you at the right time, efficiently. We have an industry-leading user-friendly feature stack, and what that means is the buttons that I'm going to show you are cutting edge. It's right up there in terms of new thinking, in terms of new techniques, and there's wonderful things that you can start to do today and tomorrow, backed up with that training and support. So we have significant experience within the sector. We work with quite a large number of UK-based recruitment businesses now, UK and European. And the company culture that we've created at Force24 is all about empowering our team to empower you. So the team is around about 100 people now, most of them based in and around Leeds or Yorkshire, but that obviously doesn't matter these days. I'm coming to you from Harrogate. I don't know where you are, but it doesn't matter. So the point is that we're all about empowering our team members to empower you guys. Okay, so let's get on and show you the show. So we've got some good attendee numbers here. Some of you may be customers, and some of you may be just looking at Force24 for the first time. So if you are a customer, we will be very happy to talk to you after this and talk about how we turn this integration on. If you're not, we'll be very happy to talk to you about how automation can fit within your business and how you can gain the power that I'm going to show you now. So, okay, I'm going to drag in my screen, just a second. Here it is. And I'm showing you very quickly, because that, my experience and knowledge doesn't really sit within your CRM. What it does is sits within our product. So what I'm going to show you quickly now is how easy it is. So the first thing to note is whenever anybody adds a contact into CRM, it's automatically synced with key record data into automation. Okay, so I don't have to do anything. I don't have to build lists or tags. I don't have to. So every time a candidate is entered into the recruitment CRM, it will be synced across. Same for clients. Now, what we can also do is we can use the power of the recruitment CRM interface to yield lists. So I'm in the tag function in users, where I can basically build tags. Okay, and those tags contain lots of users. And as you can see, this is a test account, so there's not much worthwhile data in this particular instance. But as you can see, I was testing and playing around with it earlier on today and created some lists with some people in it. Great. And what's cool about that is that automatically flushes through and creates a list in Force24 with all the clients or candidates associated with it, so I can now start to do great marketing. But I'm going to show you a little bit more about it. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to Force24. So just to show you quickly, I've jumped in to the detail a little bit here. Here's those lists as represented in our list object here. So you can see how easy it is. It's simply a button, build a tag, allocate the people, sync with Force24. That's what's so powerful about this. The time to deploy this is very quick, and the time that you need to manage this connection is literally non-existent, which is really important. Okay, so now let me go back to, oh, sorry, I apologize. I need to log out of the demo account and log it back into the actual marketing demo account. Clunky, sorry, my fault. Okay, here we go. So this is Force24. Okay, this is the dashboard. And as I mentioned before, you have access to free training and support for life from a marketing professional based in Leeds. So we talk your language. We understand the challenges that you're going through, and we understand how you might want to tackle it. So some of this is about how to use the software, but also what's the best way to connect with a candidate? What's the best way to do this? What's the best way to promote a webinar or whatever it may be? So jumping back into that data piece that I was just looking at a moment ago, what we do is we consume the data from CRM. That's all sat beneath the scenes, and it manifests itself to you by the way of lists. Okay, and these lists are automated. But the first thing to know about the lists is I may be in many different lists. So I may be in the mail list, lives in Harrogate list, sales list, whatever. So the fact that I'm in one list doesn't mean I'm automatically taken out of all the other lists. So these lists are evolving as the consultants are updating CRM. And you as a marketeer are just the guardian of that data. Okay, so they're doing the hard work, and you're sat there with all the great stuff coming into the lists. Now, what I'm going to show you is what that then gives us as a marketeer. So most of us marketeers out there that have been working on email or SMS or whatever it may be to client or candidate attraction, doing things like webinars, whatever it may be, I tend to rely on things like an outcome from a campaign to see how well I'm doing. What was my open rate? What was my click rate? How many people turned up? So on and so forth. Now, I want to encourage you to start to look differently, and we can actually attach reports to these data segments. And so I've got one of those lists. It's not one of those lists, but it's just the same thing in a different account. And I can now understand a little bit more about that data. So I've now got a report that supports me in making decisions as to how well we're engaging with that group of people. So rather than living in a world where we just build a list and we send to it and we never use that list again, we tend to try to get automated lists looking for people in the market, candidates, whatever it may be, and we keep that live and up to date. And that way we can see how it's changing. So what I can see on screen here is I get a snapshot view of the number of people in the list. Great, super duper. I can synchronize this list with Google and Facebook, which means that I can now start to vend tailored ad content to those individuals. So if I know that you're a candidate specifically with a particular qualification, let's say, I know that I can start to show campaigns that relevant to that particular person based on your membership with that list in Facebook or your membership with that list in Google. So that's a really powerful tool, and we see about a 30% reduction or increase in productivity from businesses that are already pretty active in paid search. Now, very quickly, I'm going to show you this. So I'm looking at a group of 20,000 candidates, let's say. And what I want to see is, I want to see if there's any sort of seasonality within this particular segment. And what I can do is I can scoot all of these dates back, which I'll do really quickly. Don't worry, I'll get to the really exciting stuff in a moment, but we're just going to cover a few bases. So I'm going to scoot back to March 2018. And what that does is it takes all of those 20,000 people and it puts all of their actions, everything they've done, when they've looked at your website, when they've opened an email, clicked, when you've sent them an email, puts it all on one chart. Now, right now to you, that might not mean much, but to me, that means a lot. What I'm looking at here is a period of intense yellow. And what that means is that's emails sent. And when we've been over penetrating the base, we've been sending too many emails, we see our open rates decline, and we see the yellow being the dominant feature, versus here, where the green's the dominant feature and green is people opening emails. So I can see here we've reduced our volume of outbound, but increased our volume of inbound by just chilling it out a little bit. Interesting point though, sending lots of emails, it's not a problem. It's cadence versus spamming. Cadence is me, I can send an email every day. That's not a problem. What a problem is sending an email every day to people that aren't engaging. That's a problem. And we use automation to hive those people off, wait, and then reintroduce them at a more appropriate time. But the point is, what we can see is we can see the COVID period, we can see the latter months. I can see trends forming, and I've got the web activity view on here, so I can see how web activity, people visiting my website from our direct comms, is going, and I want to see an upwards trajectory. That's what I want to see. Now, I'm going to now move beyond that. There's so much more that I can tell you from this, and if anybody ever came to one of our support team and said, why are we not working? Why are we not winning in this particular data segment? Why are we struggling in this particular market? We'd look at that and we'd say, I can see what you're doing wrong from a technical point of view, so let's now go and see if we can address that. What I'm looking at here is lead score. Lead scoring is something I'm going to show you as well in a moment. Lead scoring is a really powerful attribute within our system, and it's essentially just a way of scoring and prioritizing people. I've got 10,000 candidates, 100,000 candidates. How do I know which ones to direct my consultants to first? And we use a lead scoring methodology, and that lead scoring is deployed into your account free of charge on day one. And we can adapt it together, but it usually just works. And the point is, it says, based on the digital engagement, these ones are higher, which would probably indicate they're in market, which would probably mean that you should speak to them first. So it puts a number on everybody's head. So everybody on the call right now would have a number based on how much research they've done into our brand or vacancies or whatever it may be. So what that does then, we then plot that average lead score for all of the 22,000 people in this list and show it on a chart. And let me just again scoot that back a little bit, not quite as far this time, and show you some trends. Because what we see, this blue line, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. The audience is not a consistent level of engagement. So if I'm relying on emails, open rates, click rates, etc., to be able to appraise how well I'm doing, well, I'm appraising it in a moving ocean. So one day everybody's really high and super pumped up, so I send an email, I get a really high open rate. Awesome, I'm doing a great job. No, you just sent an email at the right time. And then conversely, everybody's really low, everybody's really suppressed, send an email, get a lower open rate than I'd expect, and I start beating up myself and I start trying to reinvent it. No, the audience was just flat. Put narrative to your data like this, and you can then put narrative back to your board packs, back to the stakeholders within the business, and describe what's actually happening out there in the marketplace. And the final one that I want to show you on here is member count timeline. So this is an automated segment powered by the consultants. So I want to know whether they're helping me or not helping me. And one of the things I want to see is, how's that 22,000 come about? So over the last few months, I can see that we've been growing it quite quickly. But I can see this green, that's blue line, the total number of people. The green is the people that are active for email, and the red is active for SMS. So if I saw that, if I was one of you guys and I saw that chart, I'd say, hey, well done, guys. We're collecting a great deal, or we're recategorizing a lot of our candidates or clients, which is wonderful, well done. However, your email data collection rate is poor. You're collecting the guys, you're not collecting adequate emails, because when we send them an email, they bounce. So that number disparity will come from people's email addresses bouncing, high unsubscribes, or even perhaps not even having an email. So I could say, listen, guys, I need to get that further up because that's going to empower marketing if we can do it. And I'd say your SMS data collection rate is through the floor. We need to address that quickly. So what that will do is, because this platform allows you to distribute SMS communications as part of a journey as well, if I've got all three of those lines nice and high, all tracking in the right direction, I'm a happy marketeer. If they're not and they're splitting, I've got to start asking questions. But this helps build that case around the work that I'm doing, basically. Okay, there's loads of really fun stuff on this page, which I'm not going to go into right now. I'm going to go straight into the outcome of a campaign. So I've been executing my campaigns, and I know I'm missing the big bit in the middle. How do I do that? But I'm going to get straight to the outcome. And the outcome is, who did what? What did they do? Who clicked? Where did they go? So what I'm looking at here is the web activity summary page. So this is basically saying, okay, so far this morning, 95 human beings that we know of, that we've tracked before, have clicked on 213 of your pages and you've completed 32 goals. That's a 15% conversion rate. Awesome, well done. Great job, guys. I can filter this for certain date lists and date ranges, whatever. I'm not bothered about that right now. But what I want to do is I want to come down here, and now I get to see the human beings in that list. Okay, these are the candidates that are showing engagement today on the website. Looking at jobs, and here's that score. And scoring, lead scoring, as I said before, for every action you do, you get a point on your head. Don't do anything for 30 days, it all comes off again. So my score may go sky high, and then it drops back down again if I don't do anything. But the important thing about lead scoring is it's a comparative metric, and comparative metrics are, I can compare it against somebody else. I can compare it over time. Has it gone up or down? Or if I'm going to make a call, am I going to call out of these three guys? Who am I going to call first? Obviously, you're going to call Katie Mansell because she's got a much higher lead score. She's showing much more engagement, and that's what we're looking for. Right. I'm going to go in and look at one of these records, George Matthews. Please ask questions. We have got some questions preloaded for this webinar about lead scoring, and I'm more than happy to go into that. But I'm having a quick look at George Matthews. So the first thing that I can see now is this data is all logged in our system, and I'm showing you it because I want you to understand the data that we hold. We can pump this out to consultants as well, which is great. But more importantly, I can see George Matthews. This is the data collected from CRM. Give it a second. Come on in, CRM data. Here we go. So here's the data held in CRM, which not a lot in this record, where he is, data segments that he's attached to, and his subscription preferences. Wonderful. So we can't send him an SMS, unfortunately, which is a shame. Then I go into activity. So in activity, I get to see every email we've ever sent George. And I'm showing you George's record because he works for us, and we've got specific permission from Force24 employees to show you their records. So George, we can see every email that he's opened, every email that he's clicked, what the artwork that was that we sent him, but more importantly, this complete history of every page on the website he's ever looked at. And that might go back not far in this case. I think George is fairly new, 10th of December, there you go. And you know, what I'd like to, oh, perfect. You can see he's come on the 10th of December, he's taken a break. He's then come back on the 12th of Jan, and then the 14th of Jan, he's come back via Google. So this tracking is very cool because we know it's George. It's not an IP address lookup. This is specifically where George has either clicked on an email, because we know who we sent the email to, we know who it is when they click. So that marries it up. And if he, as he has done here, comes back via Google, we can still see it's George. Or if somebody on the website fills in a form, because they fill in the form, they submit the data, we set a cookie then as well, some script on your website, and we know it's George that way as well. So what I'm saying here is it might be that we've got many devices, although there's only one here. Usually I see that we're tracking them on their smartphone, their laptop, their tablet, whatever, and it all contributes to the same record. Now, we also do have an IP tracking facility as well. So if you want to know the companies that have been on your website, you can do it. But we all know there's limited value in that data. It's great if one of our consultants are talking to somebody from Weatherby Stone Products. They'll be able to see, oh, it's somebody from Weatherby Stone Products, perhaps. But the real value is within this identified data from our CRM data and from people that we've attracted in or filled in a form. Okay, so moving on, I'm going to get into automation, and I want to show you what automation is all about. So this is the automation canvas, and the automation canvas is very much about you dragging and dropping a beautiful journey, okay? And a journey is something you want somebody to go on and really push a message. General rule of thumb is if I want you to know about something, I have to say it 6 times. So usually when I'm doing these demos or these talks, I tell you 6 times that free training and support for life on a 2-minute SLA. That's 3 times now, by the way. So if I tell you something 6 times, it lands. If I tell you something once, I've got a very small chance. So if I'm promoting a webinar, I should do it 6 times. If I'm trying to get hold of you, I should do it, well, on average, actually 16 times if it's a B2B outreach piece. But the point is, repetition is the point I'm getting at. So it's really easy to use. And what we find is most marketeers within the first 2 weeks have got a good understanding of how to do this. They don't necessarily know how to do all of it, but that's what we're for. We help you. So what we do is we define a trigger and we say, okay, get me everybody from, I don't know, one of these lists. And I could say, okay, no problem. I'll get you everybody in marketing list is, I don't know, my hot customers list. There it is. Oh, but we don't want them if they're in a current discussion list. So if we're already engaging with them, we don't want to invite them. We'll just let the consultants handle this one. So we say, is in that one, isn't in that one. So we can trigger you into these journeys based on the data segment you live in, or we can say, look, hey, if anybody visits a particular vacancy on our website, we'll trigger them in because we really want it. That's a high value vacancy. We really want to do whatever it may be. So I can look at everything to do with the CRM record to trigger you in. I can look at the activity. I can look at which emails you've opened, which emails you haven't opened, when you have loads, everything I can now build these queries with. And the point is, as I was saying before, we're here to help. So let's assume that we know how to do that. Now let's execute a journey. Let's invite you to our webinar. So we say we're going to use email. I'm going to drop on an email stage. So I drag it on and I simply select one of my email templates. I'll show you how to build email in a second. I give it a subject line, blah, 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 blah. A marketing email, off I go. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate that 2 more times because that repetition is key. I wouldn't normally send the same email 3 times, but I just want to prove a point to you about how easy this really is. So, okay, I'm going to invite you to my webinar over 3 separate emails. And I say, okay, cool, I've got that on there. I don't want it to start going just yet. I want it to start rolling out tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. That's awesome. Cool. And I just drag that line into that line, drag that line into that line. So really easy, do that, do that. There you go, really easy, connect it up. And now I'll send that email, I'll make a delay. I'll wait then for, I don't know, 5 days, 4 days. But we never send anything on a weekend, so I'll turn Saturday and Sunday off. Awesome. And that will put me a box right there, and I can connect that box to there. And so before I send you the next email, I want to know, I want to ask the question of the data. Did you fill in the form to say you're coming to the webinar? Did you, is a consultant now talking to you? Is all these things. So this is why automation connected to the CRM is so important. I want to now say, hey, when you joined this journey, you were not in a current discussion. So if you are in this current discussion now, it's done its job, and therefore I'll leave you alone. But I could also say, hey, did they fill in the webinar sign-up page? I could do that by just typing in the URL of the webinar sign-up page. Thanks.html, whatever it might have been. Okay, awesome. And so that gives me these yes/no gates. And I say, if the answer to that is no, cool, go on to the next email. If the answer is yes, let's go on and save it. Now, that might seem like, wow, that's quite complicated. But now let me now roll it forward. So that's our first loop, so to speak. So that's our first send an email, wait, make a decision, send the next one. So to get to the next one, really easily, we just duplicate components along. And we say all the same stuff, wait another 4 days, make the same decision. Are they coming to the webinar, or are the consultants talking to them? If the answer is yes, we'll end the journey. If the answer is no, we'll keep going. Now, that's really cool. So what we find is most marketeers take about 45 minutes to build and send an email. Now, actually building the email and doing the work is about 30 of those 45 minutes. Now, in that instance, in about 3 minutes, I haven't built the emails. I've sent on a very specific basis 3 emails. So as you can see here, there might be lots of different data, lots of different data streams, and lots of different journeys. And this is a way that I manage it, because I build this journey and now I think, oh crikey, I need to do another webinar now for that set of data or those people, or whatever it is. I can duplicate the whole journey and just change the email templates. So rather than me pulling data, uploading data, building an email, setting subject line, pressing send, downloading the data, who clicked it, who signed up, messing around, all of that is taken care of just through automation, and it's so simple. So as I said, most marketers within 2 weeks can kind of get their head around it. They might not know what goes behind these decision components, but that's what our team's for. And after a couple of weeks, after 4 weeks, most marketeers claim they are proficient in using these decision objects. When it's your data, it makes a lot more sense than what I'm showing you. Now, I can do loads of other things. So I might think, right, well, I've invited you 3 times to my webinar. You've not even opened. What I'll do is I'm going to split test this next stage, and I'm going to drop a, I'm going to drop an SMS object on. And in SMS, I can say, hello, hello, first name. So I can build SMS directly in this platform that looks like it's come from a human being, or I can make it overtly from the brand, which actually is something that we recommend that you should do. And I can say, okay, hello, first name, reply yes. Oh, you know what I'm trying to do. Reply yes if you would like a chat. So I can now manage those replies, turn replies on. I can now manage those replies. Of course, I know exactly why that is. Apologize, I dragged it onto an object. I can manage those replies with a decision object, which can then make me understand. Well, if somebody replies yes, I'll get the consultant to call them back, or I'll get them to send another email saying, hey, we'll be right on you, or whatever it may be. So I can use those SMS objects to manage conversation. I use these decision objects to look for the replies. I use the delay objects to hold it back to make it appropriate, so we don't look too stalkerish, and we can just be a little bit more, opportune with our timing. I can manage subscriptions, split test, wonderful, all great. Now, building and sending those journeys actually is pretty easy, and what we find is most marketers just want to get their hands on it and play with it because they can do it. It's quite a visual and tactile thing. We then come on to building emails, and I'm going to just make sure that I cover this bit off. It's very functional, but I really like it. I'm going to build an email. Now, there's obviously lots of different types of emails that you can build. The plain text versions that look like they've come from Outlook, or the branded versions that look like they've come from a brand. And I'm going to show you the more complicated one, which is obviously the brand. Plain text is easy, you just type. So what's the difference here between this and, say, MailChimp? So what we've tried to do is say, look, take the easy bits of MailChimp, but take the power of the big ticket platforms and put that into the same place. So what we did was we said, look, what marketeers are good at is building methodologies, keeping it and reusing it. So where we've got a situation like this, you can drag and drop a layout onto the canvas. But why would you? Because actually what's more powerful is the fact that every time I build an email, I save components of it. So next time I build an email, I don't ever have to build that component again. So with a template, if you save a template, that's great, but it's one template. You can only use it for one thing. But quite often, components within those templates can make up many different. So you can do both in this platform. You can say, okay, right, so here I am. I'm going to drag that bit in. Yeah, awesome. And I want my legal text down there. Awesome. And I want a review in there, and I want a price list right there. No, I don't want it there. Okay, cool. Now I'm not going to send it out like that. What I actually want to do now is switch this content mode where I switch all the images, change the text, and this is the bit that feels like MailChimp. You know, you can just type in more text, type it here, do what you want to do, easy peasy. You've got all the token replacement in there, so I can put first name, last name, whatever data we hold from CRM into that specific email if you like. But it's all about simplicity. Now, why it gets cooler again is the fact that quite a lot of the time marketeers are sort of challenged with this debate of, do I send, I've got 2 different data segments. I've got my engineering candidates and I've got my cleaning candidates. Can't send them the same email, but I do want them to go to the same webinar. So what I can do is I can break this email down and I can duplicate objects on this page, and I can say, okay, only show this object here if the user is in tag engineering. But you see this version down here, I want to show that to everybody that's in tag cleaning. And you can see how there that I don't really need to train you much more on how to do that because it's really easy. And that's where the power comes from. Our product has been all about, is it simple yet embodying the power that the marketeers want? So with this style of email template editor, I get my email production down to about 5 minutes. So if it takes you more than 5 minutes to, I'm not talking about designing the images or the writing beautiful words, that can take you as long as you want. But building and constructing, bang, 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 even with the dynamic placeholders, 5 minutes. That's the aim. That way we can actually start to do more strategic things with our time rather than spend our day building emails and feeling behind the cosh. Obviously, as I say, building a simple plain text email, exactly the same functionality, but we've got a little bit of an easier route here. We can type it in. We can still do all the same dynamic content at a paragraph level, show that paragraph to these guys, show that paragraph to these guys, just using that little eyeball. Really, really easy and really powerful. And the final piece that I want to show you before we do move on and start to talk about any questions is the fact that one of the things that we did was we said, like, okay, marketeers are really good at building these journeys. They're really good at communicating with people, and they've got a lot more granular now. They're starting to talk to people as human beings through marketing, and that's great. What they're not doing very well is sending the traffic anywhere where there's a meaningful outcome. And so what we did was we said, right, we need to build landing page builder or microsite builder. And what the microsite builder does is it says, okay, let's build landing pages specifically designed to make this user convert. So without building one, all I'd do is click add and type a name for it, but there's already one here, so I don't need to. I'm going to now add a new page into this. So I'm going to call it my hello page. No. Hello. And I'm going to choose from a template, and I will pick my header and footer. There you go. So I picked a template page, my template page, not some florist in somewhere else. So the collateral that you see in here will be yours. So we start you off with some, and we start you off with loads of standard stuff, but we can build things specifically for you or migrate things from other platforms to help you get there quicker. So I open up the editor, really easy, exactly the same as building emails. If I know how to build an email, I just come to my snippets and I say, drag that in there, drag that in there. I want the webinar there, and yeah, that'll do, whatever. I then just come into it and I can simply just start typing. I can now add a picture, I can do whatever I want to do, build out that page really, really quickly. So where it takes you 5 minutes to build an email, we're saying, well, 15 minutes is appropriate for a landing page. So what I try to do is I save as much out of the old pages that I've built, I drag them in again, I just change the words, change the pictures, keep the consistent brand style, and I move on. So I'm taking big cost out of agency budgets potentially, and I'm keeping it, and I'm making myself more effective by being able to do it quicker, but marketing by getting a better return. So these landing pages you saw on the web activity page when I was in there a moment ago, today we've had a 15% conversion rate. Most websites convert about 2 or 3%, which is fine. But we send a lot of our traffic to these pages, so we expect 15 to 20% of everybody that arrives at them to convert into an action. Think about that. That's a big increase on what we're doing. Now, it gets even cooler still. So the data held in CRM is now available to you to inject into these pages. So you say, hello, I am not doing well with typing, so hello, and then I can insert, say, I don't know, their first name. Again, these are our fields, so, you know, make more sense when it's your data. So hello, first name, that's all I need to do. And it'll now reference that person by first name. I could then say whatever I wanted to do on that. It's just up to me, I build it. But even cooler still, I say, look, I've got my engineering candidates I was talking to you about in a moment ago, and my cleaners candidates. Okay, I don't want them to see the same page because that again is going to turn them off the same webinar. So I've got 2 versions, and there's my little eyeball. I say only show this version to people in tag. Whoops. Hot customers get to see this one. There you go. Whereas anybody else gets to see this version, and I can build as many versions as that as I want. And now what's cool about that is not only is my email got hyper personalized, but the destination has got hyper personalized as well. And what we're doing is we're just trying to give you the tools to just turn all of the notches up to 10, 11 in fact. You're at 11 with all your notches. So your marketing just goes boop, 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 boop. You might only be able to get marginal operational gains, but that's even better than nothing, and that's what it's about. So if I can save you time and get you a greater ROI, then I'm doing my job, and that's what it's about. And one of the final note, if I'm dropping a form on this page, you know, somewhere where somebody can fill in some data capture, sign up for the webinar, and I've just sent you an email saying, hey, Adam, you should really come to our webinar, and I click on a page and it says, now enter your name here. Hold on a minute, you just emailed me. So what this system does is it can pre-populate all of those form fields as well. No effort. I mean, I could show you how to do it, but I don't know whether it's necessary. Just drop a form on there and it's all done. It's very, very quick, very easy to do. And the landing page is just like the emails and everything else. You template, you do some great work, you save it, you make a template, and off you go. So the good news is I can now issue you all a certificate in having completed this whistle-stop demo. There's loads and loads of things that I could show you, and if anybody wants a one-to-one demo with either myself or a member of the team, then we can talk more specifically about the use cases for you and the data you hold in CRM and how it can power better comms, and we're very happy to do that. But Dom, how was that? Fast? Efficient?
Adam, as ever, absolutely fantastic. Thank you for taking the time to share that with well, I've seen it before, but the guys and girls that are watching this today, I think it's a fabulously complex yet simple to use platform that truly delivers results, and hence why we've chosen Force24 as our marketing automation partner. So thank you very much.
No problem.
So we've had some questions. I've got some questions for you, if that's okay.
Sure.
And question I've got here is, if emails are sent via Recruitment CRM, but not via Force24 through the integration with Recruitment CRM, can Force24 see those emails and make this information, I guess, available in the activity dashboards?
So now, strictly speaking, no. You're going to not see that the Force24 system has sent an email. However, you will see the outcome. So the fact that John Smith has been to the website, had a look around, done whatever he's needed to do, all that information will still be there. Now, you just need to make sure you get one click, and the best practice is consultant email, anything that's one-off, ad hoc, transactional, fine, but this is more for the marketing stuff. This is all about, I get that click and I've got the cookie. It doesn't matter how they come back in the future. They come back through the current Recruitment CRM email, that's fine. Doesn't matter, we still can see it, and we can then still trigger actions off the back of that. So you can't see that you've sent the email in that dashboard. You can see that the outcome of that email.
Right. So Force24 is really about the journey, the automation, the capturing of the data, and the using of that data. But if someone was to send a one-off email that directed someone back to a page, then the cookie that's captured would be visible. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I'd say, look, if you want to just send an email, it's just, you send an email, you build an email, you send a campaign, you can tag it, you type which list, you select it. You can do it the old-fashioned way in here as well. So it's whichever's quicker. But if you've built great emails in our product and it's really easy, then, selecting an email and sending it out to a base of people in our product should be as quick, but it's entirely up to you.
Okay, thank you for that.
No
So
problem.
what are the benefits of using marketing automation versus a platform that can just fire out single emails or batch emails?
Yeah, so the big one is this: you got to understand this repetition piece. Okay, so we wrote a piece a while ago, and it's in our ultimate recruitment guide, which is about the human argument. And the human argument says, if I want to get the kids to tidy the bedroom, I don't just ask them once. Nobody's got kids that just do as they're told on the first time. I have to keep asking them, but I actually change my tact as I go along. And automation's about saying, look, that's true for everything in life. If I want you to come to my webinar, classic example, sending one email is not going to do it. So I know I've got to send 3 or 4. 6 is optimum. So I know I've got to send 3 or 4. Now, the effort involved in sending 3 or 4 through a batch and blast is insane. you know, you're talking 5 hours to send 6 emails. No, it should be about 10 minutes in the production of the emails and about 10 minutes in production of the journeys. You build it, you execute, you go and do something else. You focus and let the system do its thing. So the big advantage is time saving. But that's a difficult one really to tell to people. That's why you should come here. But then you say, well, actually the real ROI advantage is that consistency. It happens. You take a day off, it's happening. You go on holiday for a week, you've set it all up, it's doing its thing for the next 3 months. You're hands off now. So if you can move to that way of thinking, yes, you're always going to have webinars that come out of nowhere, but you pull off your webinar strategy, you pull off your templates, you build them, and you've got 6 weeks worth of emails ready to go. It just doesn't phase you. So I can get thinking about more strategic things rather than head down, trying to keep up with consultants saying, I'm not sending enough, I'm not supporting them enough, or whatever. That all goes away. You're ahead of the curve.
It's that commodity that we can never get back, isn't it? Time.
Correct. Yeah.
And everybody says they don't have enough time in the day. They don't have enough time to do the things they really should be doing. And if you can give yourself back an hour a day, then from every walk of life and every aspect of life, but in recruitment, if you can have an extra hour a day to do something that's going to bill, then business owners, all the way down to consultants, are going to be affected by that, right?
Totally agree. Yeah.
So how do you think that marketing automation can increase, in your experience, really, how does it increase client and candidate engagement?
Yeah, so the other big point to that argument is the fact that what I tell you online through my web tracking is usually more an accurate disposition. So we use that web tracking to we can analyze that web tracking through the journey builder. We can look for people that have looked at certain things. We can put them in certain segments, and then we can then respond to them timely. So if you imagine at the moment, you're very much you're a schedule-based marketeer if you're not using automation. And what that means is it's Wednesday, I'm going to send an email to these people, or it's Thursday, whatever. Now, if I move to a three-dimensional marketeer, what that means is I'm starting to distribute comms when they're ready for the client or for the candidate, because they themselves trigger them having done this thing. Now, the job of a marketeer is to understand how this works and understand what they're looking for, and what's best to say after that point. And this is again, it's part of our job is not just showing you how to press buttons, it's showing you how to transition into this world where you can really adopt this power and really sort of get behind it. So, how does it help this engagement? It's serving content on their schedule, not your schedule all the time. Sometimes it's on my schedule, but it's not always. So we've got many different tiers of journeys running out at any one time to different people, different buying stages, different industries, serving what looks like to them is a really personalized piece of content. Does that answer the question, or was that just that dancing?
Oh, no, I think that answer. It's a conversation more than a question, isn't it? I think we can go a long way to answering that. Got a question here. It's quite a technical one. What fields are mapped from Recruitment CRM into Force24? For example, attributes. Can you choose from every contact or candidate field in Recruitment CRM? This will be useful for creating journeys. Another example is where no CV has been added. Can a journey action request a new CV?
Yeah, so there's ways and means of achieving that end goal. So in essence, basically, if it's a field in Recruitment CRM, we can build the corresponding field in Force24 and map the two together. So what you can also do is say something like CV collected on date. And in our system, you can look at that date, CV collected on date, and you can trigger after 6 months and say, oh, look, we've had that CV for more than 6 months. I want to send an email saying, hey, got a refresher? You want to update us? So you can dates are, they're live. They're not just a date, it's not just a number. They're live, and they can be something that is triggered on the back of something having not happened or having happened based on that date. So as far as I know, any field which is within Access CRM should be exposed. Now, there may well be things that aren't fields, that are functions that don't quite work like that, but I think that's on an individual use case basis. But both Access and Force24 are keen to understand what works for you guys and build a product that's awesome for you guys. So the development book is not closed on this. We'll keep going.
It is a journey, and this is the first step on that journey, isn't it? And once we've got some clients, some mutual clients using both platforms, we can look to continue the development, continue the journey, and make it better for everyone involved. My next question here is there any data fed back from Force24 into Recruitment CRM, or would you rely on automated reports sent to consultants and managers?
Yeah, so iteration version 1 that we're at the moment is, it's relying on those external reports pushing back into the managers. But again, that's not because we can't do that bit. It's because we want those real life use cases to be able to decide what the appropriate course of action should be. So that's going to very aggressively be developed as soon as the answer through real life use cases is understood. So the simple point is, if you want the data getting back to a consultant, we'll figure out a way to do it. And it's not that it's impossible, it's just going to be made a lot easier when that development release comes through. So we're going to be working very aggressively on understanding use cases and how to make it better for everybody. So it should be 2 + 2 = 5. That's what we're aiming for with it.
Right, perfect, thank you. Next question here. If emails are sent, no, I've already asked that one. Do analytics pull across to Recruitment CRM and show on the contact/candidate profiles in Recruitment CRM?
No, and it's not something that's actually not something that we would necessarily aim to do, because marketeers rely on a certain kind of dashboard and consultants rely on a different kind of dashboard. What we will be doing is fostering a link between the two, so the consultant can click on the button and see all of the activity page. They could do that right now, but we want to make it as easy as possible. But a marketeer needs a very specific kind of interface. That's our job. So we empower the marketeer to be able to do their job as best they can. So all of our development resource and our UX understanding is all about making marketeers better. That's not necessarily the Access's job, and our job isn't their job. So it's about truly understanding those roles and making sure that we build software to support that role. And that's one of those difficult, bleedy bits that, we've put a firm line in the sand and said, no, marketeers should live here and consultants should live here, but consultants can go over there if they want to look at it.
Right, so the information is there, but it's not being pushed across because of different job roles, and that's your experience, right?
It is, yeah.
What information does Force24 push back? We've got that. There's a question here. It says, a question for me. How do we enable the Force24 integration on Recruitment CRM? That's very straightforward. If you speak to your account manager, if you are already a Force24 customer, speak to your account manager, and they will talk to you about how that can happen. If you're not a Force24 client, then happily, I think there's a QR code that's come up on screen. If you scan that QR code, you can set up a conversation with Force24 and become a client. But if you have any questions about the integration or how we can turn it on for you, my first port of call should always be your Access account manager. We are at 10 to 2. I know we're coming to the end of the session, but there's a question that I'd like to ask, and it's emails will a lot of the time go through spam filters and get caught in spam filters. How do you suggest, as the experts in this field, how would you suggest that we ensure emails get into inboxes and not get caught in spam filters?
Yeah, it's a really good question, Don. It's a big field, and what you've got to recognize now is that when you click send to 20,000 candidates, you're not sending to 20,000 candidates. You're sending to 2 places: Microsoft and Gmail or Google. That's where there might be Yahoo or whatever, but reality is 90% of the market is owned by Microsoft and Google. So you're sending it to a single point, and obviously these businesses are the biggest tech businesses in the world, use AI to scan and process their mail, and their objective is to try to make sure only the best gets through. And one of the attributes that they now lean on is what we call a reputation score. And this reputation score is, how have you been in the last 6 months? How have you been in the last week? How have you been in the last day? And what we find is that marketeers, one of the big hints or big pushes really is, Microsoft say, if somebody hasn't opened an email in 14 days from you, delete them from your database. And we say, wow, that's a little bit aggressive. But understand where they're at. They're saying you collected this candidate 14 days ago, and they also say you should email them 3 times a week. Now, again, that might be a little bit aggressive, but understand where they're at. So in theory, after 6 emails, if they've never opened an email, you should delete them according to Microsoft. Now, again, it's not about saying you have to do that, but understand where you are on their scale. I.e., well, we've got candidates that we collected 5 years ago that have never opened an email. You know, and that's, well, yeah, there you go. That might be one of the root of the problems. Now, what we find is the majority of our work in email deliverability, it's not kicking the box under the desk anymore. It's very much about understanding the data, where it comes from, helping you send the campaigns slowly and steadily and make sure that we get a good response. The other thing is, marketeers that are working to a schedule, i.e. I send an email every Tuesday, what happens is you might have a really great campaign and your reputation score goes like this till about Thursday or Friday. And then it starts doing this as you get towards next Wednesday. So when you're sending your campaign on next, week after week after week, your reputation score's gone up and then dipped back down again by the time you actually send it next week. So it's about keeping those mail servers nice and warm consistently. Now, that isn't something marketeers want to hear about, but unfortunately, it's something they've got to take note of. If I'm sending 20,000 emails to candidates, why do I need to send them all now? Why does it have to go right now? Sometimes when it's a webinar and it's, it's 5 minutes to go, yeah, you've got to do that. But it should be the approach that we start to define a more consistent mailing pattern. And, it'd be great if tech just answered this. But you know what? The mail servers aren't looking at tech. What they're looking at is attitudes within the organization. Is the attitude within the organization just to fudge email to get as much out the door as can? Or is it to build really great, compelling and engaging emails that fit each person that's going to get high engagement when it lands? Because if that's what you're trying to do, Microsoft and their AI tools are right behind you. If not, pretty quickly they catch you. So big topic, and we do quite a lot of talks on this actually, and we've got a lot of content on it. And if anybody's interested in that specific talk or learning more about email deliverability, reach out to Force24. If you fill in that, you get your smartphone out, you go to the camera, bring up a link, fill that in, and you can ask us that sort of question, and we'll talk to you about it.
Brilliant, okay. Adam. That's been really. I mean, I've learned something there, and it's been super informative. And like I say, it's a great product. If anyone that's listening to this now or in the future, if you're interested, there is a QR code on screen. Get your smartphone out, as Adam says, scan it, fill out the form, and someone from Force24 will have that discussion with you and answer your questions and answer your queries, because there is a wealth of experience there. So I think we'll bring this to a close. Adam, thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you to those who've attended and listened and asked questions. Hopefully we've answered those questions. If there are other questions that come up, like I say, scan the QR code or contact your account manager, or you can contact me directly and we will answer those questions for you. But for now, thank you very much. Thanks all. Stay safe, look after yourselves, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.